Good morning and welcome back to the show. Now, the idea of a provident fund was first mooted in the 1940s. The Honorable A.A. Ragg gave a speech in 1945 that planted the concept for a savings plan aimed at the old and disabled. Although his ideas were not supported at that time, it laid the platform for what would eventually become 2 decades later. In the mid-1960s, the country was in a desperate need of a pension fund. This was the time to establish a fund that could provide some financial security for the workers of Fiji. And what a very brave idea, because during COVID-19, FNPF became very handy. And with us in studio to tell us more about the assistance that is currently being carried out is Risiata. Good morning, Risiata, and thank you so much for making time for us this morning.
Morning, thank you so much. I'm glad I'm here today.
So at the outset, there are 4 phases that was carried out during this pandemic. Now, can you please tell us what are the different phases of that are currently in progress?
Yeah, thank you so much. Yes, we have been rolling out a few phases to assist our members who have been affected economically by the COVID-19 that we're going through. So just to briefly talk about that before I move into the phases, these were rolled out to really help those individuals who lost their jobs. Mostly they were the ones that were hit hard. And that was the group that we particularly wanted to focus on because they were not expecting for that to happen. So the phases were really meant to provide some sort of financial relief, from the burdens that they were facing during this period. And FNPF, in collaboration with the Fijian government, we've been rolling out these phases since 1st of April. So I'm sure our viewers are aware that from April 1st to the 29th of May, we rolled out phase 1. And this was really when the pandemic hit, it was at its most strongest. There were the lockdowns that we faced. People were losing their jobs, and that's when we rolled out phase 1, which was from April to the end of May. Then we had phase 2, which ran from the 9th of June to the 14th of August. And that was focused on those that had lost their jobs from October 2019, and also those that were on leave without pay, because there's a lot of people that are faced with that situation. When that ended, we then rolled out phase 3, which looked at those that were still employed but reduced salaries, reduced hours, reduced wages. In the midst of that, in consultation with the Fijian government, we decided to continue phase 2 that was already rolling for those that were still unemployed, because we realized that the situations was really not getting easier for some people. The unemployment was continuing to drag out, especially for the tourism industry. So well, thanks to the government and the FNPF, we decided to extend phase 2, which is phase 2 round 2, that is still currently running. And then we also had those groups of members who were unemployed for a longer period. They had not fallen into our current approved policy for withdrawal. So phase 4, which is also running from the 31st of July, 31st of August, sorry. This is for those that were unemployed from October 2017 to September 2019. So they fall into it. But it's that group of people that, we're offering, the government is offering top-up assistance as well. So phase 2, round 2 is still running for those that are unemployed from 2019 and on leave without pay. Phase 3 is running for those whose hours or wage rate have been reduced, basically. And then we've got the phase 4 group of members.
Thank you for that, Risiata. Now, before we go to our next question, I want you to address some of the misconception that people have, especially now with social media. They're taking their grievances to social media and saying that the top-ups that the government are from their own money, are from FNPF. Can you please address this misconception as well?
Thank you. So the way that the top-up that government is providing, for every member that is applying for these phases, you are only withdrawing from your general account. Okay, so for those of our members that are listening out there, all our FNPF accounts are divided into 2. You have your general account, which composes 30% of your balance, and your preserved account, which composes 70% of your general balance. Now, all our preserved accounts, this is locked until you're 55. Which is why FNPF exists. Okay, we still need to ensure that once you reach 55, you have sufficient funds for retirement. That is why the 70% or the preserved account is locked. All the withdrawals that we do, not only for COVID-19, for unemployment, for education, funeral, it comes from your general account. So what happens is, for those that are applying for COVID-19, if you do not have sufficient general account, the government is topping it up for you. So say the assistance is for 1,100. If you only have 300, government will top it up by 800, right? Yes. If I got my maths correct. Yeah. So that is how the top-up is working.
Okay. Yep. Thank you for that, Risiate. Now, are there a lot of members that have been accessing these funds?
There have been a lot of members. I mean, we've done our estimates. For example, for the phase 1 that we had rolled out, there was over 85,900 members that applied. For phase 2, the round 1, we had around 27,500 members. For the round 2 that's currently running for phase 2, so far we've had 17,000 members, over 17,000 that have applied. Over 20,700 have applied for phase 3, and only around 2,291 have applied for phase 4. And I have to mention that phase 4 is the phase that's not being offered government top-up.
And why isn't government topping up phase 4?
Simply because the reason for the COVID-19 withdrawal scheme, it's really for those that were impacted by the pandemic, okay? So as we may be aware, the pandemic period runs from 1st Feb 2019. So for phase 4, these members have been unemployed from October 2017 to September 2019. So yes, 1st Feb 2020, yes, that's the pandemic period. So for phase 4, these members have been unemployed way before the pandemic happened, and they would have applied for unemployment as well when they had lost their jobs back then. That is why the government top-up does not apply to them.
For phase 4.
For phase 4.
Thank you for that. Now, what are the payment modes for those who are needing this assistance, and how do they, for the phases? Okay,
so phase 2, round 2, for those that are still unemployed and on leave without pay, they can, of course, get their payments through direct deposit to their bank account or M-Paisa. Thank you to Vodafone. For phase 3, it's the same, direct deposit to their account or M-Paisa. For phase 4, it's direct deposit, M-Paisa, and we are also working with Post Fiji through their bill pay platform.
Thank you for that, Rosetta. Now, when does the COVID-19 withdrawal phases end?
Because we are running multiple phases at the same time, they have their own end periods. What I'd also like to remind our members that we have payment timelines as well for these phases. You can access these payment timelines on our website and also at the offices and of course on Facebook. Everybody's on our social media page, so we are constantly reminding them that if you want to get into one of the cycles for our payment timelines, there are deadlines in when you need to submit your applications. So there are 5 cycles, payment cycles for each phase. So they need to come on and see when is actually the last time they can submit. For phase 2, round 2, just to quickly let you guys know, for phase 2, round 2, the last application must be submitted by the 23rd of October. That's for phase 2, round 2. For phase 3, it needs to be submitted by the 16th of October, 2020. And for phase 4, there really is no end date at the moment, but we are requesting if members can come in and apply now if they need to.
So just for clarification, Risiate, so their pension fee is locked, so they still reassurance that they will still have some money left after a retirement.
Definitely. That's one of the outcomes of the FNPF reforms that we held a few years ago, which was to have this preservation rule. So whatever withdrawals you are doing, it's coming out from the general account, but we locked at 70%. And I know there's a lot of discussion that's going on out there, retirement crisis and so forth, but the fund has put in measures. So when you reach retirement, at least you have something that you can work with. And at the end of the day, we want people to have meaningful retirement income, as well as help them when we can.
Thank you for that, Rosetta. Now, any other final thoughts?
Final thoughts, we encourage our members, please, get directly in touch with the fund. If there are certain issues that you are unsure of, there are a few pages on social media that people are creating that are not the official FNPF page. There are other official groups that are out there just saying things, but we encourage them, please come directly to us. Come to the source and we'll gladly clarify things for them.
Thank you for that, Risiate, and you have a good day.
Thank you.
Now there you have it. If you need the assistance from FNPF, make sure you head down to your next FNPF branch to clarify all of this. And yes, of course, your pension are still safe in the hands of FNPF. Stay tuned, we have more coming up after the break.